Introducing Shop, Click, and Pick, the simplest way to support those doing good. We understand that shopping is a necessity, and with a slight adjustment, you can make a huge difference for those in need. Here's how it works. Visit communitypayitforward.us and navigate to the Find Your Partners tab. Discover our verified giving partners, trusted allies ready to meet your needs. Shop with any partner that resonates with you. Click a picture of your receipt or invoice. Pick a mission partner you wish to support and use their QR code to send a receipt to us. Then all you have to do is sit back and enjoy your purchase, knowing you've made a meaningful change for someone in need. Community Pay It Forward amplifies your business's impact by sharing your story with those who require your services, rallying support for those who need us all. Because no one needs to go it alone when we all come together. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Footprints Forward, our weekly show dealing with different subjects that can be very difficult on the person who is struggling with mental health or confidence or anything like that. Our goal for this show is to try to make sure that everybody understands that there are other people out there who are dealing with such problems. These problems can be overcome, not fixed. You're not broken. That's the thing. We don't need to fix you. You're not broken. You're having an issue. My guest today is a brand new partner. He just signed with the company today, as a matter of fact. His name is Craig Gustafson. Craig is a Navy veteran and learned, as you'll hear, pretty early in his life that things were a little bit different for him. I asked him in our pre-interview because what he explains he went through was a lot like the character on the sitcom Sheldon, and where he doesn't exactly understand what he's saying can be hurtful. Craig dealt with that in real life. In our pre-interview, I didn't ask him on the show. In our pre-interview, I asked him, what do you think of that character? Wondering if it was something that he felt insulted by the character, or if he felt encouraged by the character because it was explaining something that he went through. And he said, I am glad that he found a support system. And I think that's extremely telling on who Craig is. And Craig has a very, very soft-spokenness about him, but very upfront and confident. And I am looking forward to playing this recording for you. And I am very excited to learn more about him. Craig is now a partner in the Community Pay It Forward family. So I encourage you to please visit his page. I will share that with you throughout the show. But right now, I want to introduce to you our brand new friend, our brand new partner, Mr. Craig Gustafson. This is a meeting that I had with Craig last week. We met for the first time last week. As a matter of fact, it was a week ago today, and it was something that I knew was out there, but I had never met anybody who had this to the point that he at the time had it, and then he switched it around and has used science. And anybody who follows this show knows how much I adore science, history, any of that, you know, genre. And so I again immediately asked him to go on ahead and join us today on Footprints Forward, because I think the lessons that he can teach us will be something that are going to help quite a few people out there. I'd like to introduce to everyone Mr. Craig Gustafson of Winning People Skills. Craig, how are you doing?
If I were any better, I would be in trouble.
Well, that's good. That's good, because it's not always been that way, has it?
It has not always been that way.
Can you explain to us exactly what you used to feel like? And like, if you were in this situation before you started using your scientific method, what would be your first thoughts?
Well, I am someone who isn't naturally good with people. Um, and over half of our message doesn't come from our words. But that was the only message that I got. So let's say that you and I are sitting in a meeting. The words that were said and the conversations that happen, I would hear and understand. But everything below the surface, through people's body language and that sort of thing, I wouldn't get. Let's say, well, you're an educated guy. You ever showed up to a difficult class 10 minutes late, and you got the gist of what was going on, but you knew there was something important you were missing? That's how I felt in every meeting I ever went to, even if I was there early. Just because I didn't get the things going on behind the scenes. It turns out that I don't naturally read social cues, body language, or facial expressions. It's a very neurodivergent trait, although I am not on the spectrum, probably just because I don't have enough traits to be considered on the spectrum. But yeah, for whatever reason or for however, it's not something I ever learned to do. So, partly as a result, I was often that guy. Everybody knows that guy. The guy who will say the right thing at the wrong time or the wrong thing at the perfect time. No one in my life had to wonder who that person was going to be, because it was likely me. And I wasn't mean about it or have bad intent. I was just socially oblivious.
And this wasn't something that happened every once in a while. This was something that you were dealing with all the time, right?
Until I was 50 years old. When I retired from the military in 2011, my last commanding officer said to me, "You know, I always knew that you would be the one person who would tell me the truth. You would be the person that would tell the emperor he was wearing no clothes. The only thing I had to worry about was who was going to be around when you told me." Like I said, I was that guy. And it turns out that I was working for a company in San Diego, I guess about 2018. And I was helping them put together training resources for young people that they really wanted to retain. And part of that was the book Emotional Intelligence 2.0, which I was enthralled by because all of this was new to me. And I took the survey at the back of it. And I'm pretty certain when I hit enter, alarms went off in someone's office. because I was just literally that socially oblivious. But it turns out that it's one of the best things that ever happened to me. Because when we get confronted with something like that, we have two choices, right? We can say, this is garbage, I don't buy it. I can't be that bad. Or you can say, okay, well, maybe this explains a lot and I should get curious and learn more and go find help, which is what I did. I went and found training for advanced social skills to learn to be good with people. And it has changed everything for me. Uh, my tagline is, you know, along the lines that, well, one, if you can be anything, why not be amazing? But we all win when we have great interactions. And the science behind them isn't that hard. So I am on a mission to help people like myself learn to be amazing with other people. And it matters. Uh, Corn Ferry, the international HR firm that's actually the sponsor of one of the PGA tours, came out and said that 78% of HR professionals are having a hard time finding people who are high in emotional intelligence. Yet 90% of promotions go to those people. So if you're a young professional or someone who is struggling to get that next promotion, you may be like me, where people skills are the thing that are keeping you back. The good news is, in a very short period of time, 10 weeks usually, we can learn the science behind how we interact and change everything for you.
This formula, what are some of the things that can help? Like what are some of the telltale signs that this can help people to improve on?
Well, for me, after I took this class, I went back and I took that survey again. And instead of being in the upper 50s, low 60s, my scores right away were up in the 85th percentile. So learning to read social cues and learning to read people changed all of my interactions very, very quickly. Like I said, it's a science. And the great thing about it being a science is if we invest a little bit of energy into it, just like algebra, we can get better at it pretty quickly. But Korn Ferry actually went out and said that this is going to, in the digital age, this is going to be the next currency among the people who are successful and those who are not. Because in an age where fewer of us spend time in the company of people, it's even more important to be good with people when we are in the company of others. The specific skills that they're looking for is people who are willing and able to have a difficult conversation in a kind way.
Okay. When COVID comes along, and now we sit, as you and I are right now, hundreds of miles away from each other, but this is how we communicate. Does this make it harder for somebody to interact with people in the real world?
Yes, because even though we're seeing each other on screen, we're still not getting the whole message. But being on screen is a lot better than just seeing each other through email. I'm someone who doesn't tend to text a lot because of my past, where everything was literal. And I have to be very mindful that tone and sarcasm don't show up well in text.
Yes.
Once again, it's easy for me to be that guy. And now that I've learned to be better, I want to do better. And I don't want a misunderstanding to ruin a great relationship. And it's easy for it to happen. And the people in my life matter to me. The company that I keep matters to me. I'm very mindful of the company that I keep and the places that I show up now. They say that that we are the average of the 5 people that we spend the most time with. It turns out that we're also have the average income of the 5 people that we spend the most time with. So it pays to be mindful of who we spend our time with and who we give our time to.
I understand your hesitancy on texting. Um, I'm the kind of guy that likes to make sure that my sense of humor, who I am, comes across in everything I do. And one of the biggest problems that I have, Dog had to make
Of
an
course.
appearance during the podcast. She is the co-star, I guess. Um, but one of the things that I always used to do is I always used to write in things like I was talking, just talking to us. And my son, who's an English teacher, he's a English major, and he finally had to sit me down and go, Dad, when you write it, it doesn't make any sense. He said, you can't tell if you're joking or if you're being, if you're hurt about what you're saying. You can't, there's no cues there. And so I understand that completely. And texting is, I mean, how many fights have been started because someone's saying something, and even if it's completely innocent, it comes across as something that's very, hurtful. And so, yeah, that's always a huge fear of mine, and that's why I try to be very specific when I text, to a point of overdoing it completely. But yeah, you got to do what you got to do.
Because I'm someone who tends to be pretty direct to begin with.
Yeah.
As my wife says, my wife learned very quickly in our relationship, if you don't want an honest answer, don't ask.
Yeah.
Just I can't not be that way. The thing is, if you spend time with kids and you have a basket of green apples and there's one red apple in the basket, what apple does everybody want?
Oh, they're going to want the red apple.
They're going to want the red one. So my thing is, I don't want people to be an orange, but how do we make you the best possible red apple? And how do I be the red apple? I can't change who I am, and I'm not willing to be an inauthentic version of who I am. But understanding how to show up and how to be good with people matters to me, because I've said a lot of things unintentionally and hurt a lot of feelings in my past. And now that I've learned not to, I'm very mindful of it. So, like you.
Yeah. Do you now kind of take and sit back for a second before it comes, when it goes brain to mouth? Do you sit back for a second and go, am I going to say the right thing here? Is that part of what you do now, or is it still just, brain, here it comes? Hope for
I'm
the
more
best.
mindful now. But I try to be not inauthentic, but how do advertisers get to us, right? They prime.
Hmm.
Why can't we? Stuff like things that we overlook all the time when we have non face to face contact, right? You and I emailed a couple times.
Yeah.
So your email wasn't our meeting, it was our next connection. The two mean the same, but they're not the same.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
What about eye contact and posture and stuff like that? Does that all have to do with this method?
They are part of the science, and eye contact actually tells us a lot about the relationship that other people think that they have with us. Uh, you can't really do it on camera,
Hmm.
but people tend to power gaze in business situations. They tend to look each other right here. In social situations, like when you're talking with a friend, you use more of the whole face. Uh, and if someone is actually romantically interested in you, they'll actually go as far as here. Understanding that when you're having a face to face contact or interaction with someone actually gives you a lot of clues about who they think you are to them. And it's also part of the reason that some women tend to not be taken seriously in business interactions. Because as young girls, women often are taught to be very social and be nice and get along with other people. So they often tend to social gaze, looking at the whole face, while men are power gazing. And they miss that in business relationships. It's kind of interesting.
I know one of the biggest problems that I have, Craig, is due to the accident. And when I'm talking to somebody one on one, I get so distracted by everything because I'm deaf in my right ear, and I can hear everyone else's conversation out of my left ear. And when I'm talking to somebody one on one, it is so I don't know why my phone is talking to me, but sorry about that. See what happens.
See?
But what happens is I get so distracted by other people's conversations that it becomes hard for me to maintain that eye contact. Is there something I could do to change that?
Well, I focus on something about somebody rather than just looking them dead in the eye because anything more than about 60 or 70%, people start getting weirded out.
Yeah. Well, yeah, like I said, that's one of the many examples because if I'm in a room and I'm having a conversation like with 6 or 7 people, that background noise. But if it is this conversation,
Well,
if
I really struggle in public places because my military background, a lot of my hearing I have actually lost. So when there's a lot of background noise, uh, I struggle to have a conversation with my wife at dinner. And at first, she would get really offended, but I'm like, hey, I just if you want to have a conversation and not just be social, we need to go someplace that's more quiet. But Yeah, public places just can be very difficult for me. So I get it.
Um, yeah, going ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I get the struggle there. So I'm mindful about where I am when I want to have a conversation that matters to me. Like I enjoy going to church, I enjoy the music, but if you want to have a conversation with me there, we're probably going to have to go outside.
Yeah. Well, it is actually kind of nice to, and of course, this is one of those things that, when you were struggling with this, you didn't want to feel different, and nobody wants to feel different. And it's really hard for people to understand sometimes that, and like, especially, a couple months ago, I went to a business coaching seminar, and it was one of those things that we were supposed to stand up and talk to each other. And I got so nervous in that situation when I can usually, I mean, if we're in a room where it's just you and I can sit there and talk to you all day long, look you right in the eye, have no problem. But if I get distracted by other people's conversations, I'll start to answer their questions and realize I'm not focusing on this person because just the noise overruns my brain. And that's difficult. Um, so I'm truly interested to continue to learn more about what you're doing. Um, why this is the name of the business, and this is a very important question. Why winning people skills matter? Why do they matter?
In the end, everything we do and everything we're about revolves around relationships. Everything. Marriages, friendships, social gatherings, even our sports buddies. Everything is a relationship. In order to have relationships, you need to have connection. So if we can learn to have better connections and have better interactions with people, we're more accepted every place that we go. Because the sad truth is, in a lot of ways, we're like a book. A lot of people judge us by the cover. A few people actually will open up and see what the ends say. But in this busy world, we don't a lot of time take the time to read the whole book. So all we get is either the Reader's Digest version or what the cover shows us. So, again, in priming, how do we put our best foot forward so people want to spend time with us? Because it matters. It especially matters in business because business is all about relationships. There's lots of people out there that sell devices and all of these things, but we don't always go to get the best deal. We tend to go to the person who we most identify with or enjoy the company of. We're willing to spend a little more to do that, right?
Yeah.
You know, think about the difference sometimes between Target and Walmart. They have the same things, but a lot of the time we go to Target because the environment is nicer, the products are a little better quality often, and we're willing to spend a little more to get exactly what we want, not something that will meet our needs. Interacting with people and our relationships with other people are often the same way. So the better we can come across in the beginning, and then we only get one chance to make a first impression. And often that first impression is met or made before we even utter a word. So understanding that being on our phone with our head down is like a loser's pose, right? That's what the person who loses the race does. The person who wins the race has their head up, their eyes up, and they're looking around and they want to cheer, right? So leave your phone in your pocket. Go meet people. It matters.
If you know you're going to be distracted, eliminate that distraction.
I'm forever in trouble with my wife for not even having my phone with me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's kind of funny. I'm always in trouble because I've got at least one of the two with me, and then we'll go somewhere and I'll have both of my phones and the iPad, and she'll be like, "You're just ridiculous now." So,
If I go someplace with my wife, I often intentionally don't even bring my phone with me because most people, if it's actually important, are going to call her anyway.
yeah,
But then I don't have to worry about being the distraction.
yeah, that is true. You know what's funny though is that my wife and I we definitely have two different worlds. Okay, my business is what we do, yet her business is the paranormal. So there's two different, way different sides, so people don't call her to get a hold of me, that's for sure. And if they call me and ask me any of the questions that she can answer, I'm going to be, what? No, here. So, um, I wanna kind of go back to one of the things that you were just saying about the Walmart example. That's one of the reasons why we love working with people like you, Craig, is because I use this example quite often. I mean, I live within walking distance of a convenience store, but I would rather get in my car and drive a little bit down the road to go to this other convenience store, because when I walk into this one here, the kid is sitting there behind the counter on his cell phone, picking his nose, doesn't acknowledge me, doesn't know anything about me. Yet if I go into the other one, I walk in there and they're like, "Wow, your devils really took it in the gut last night, didn't they?" And I'm like, "You shut up." Even those insults, even those little jabs, that proves that they know who I am. That proves that they understand me, and shows a little bit of respect to who you are. So, and that's just something that you as a customer, it just makes you feel like, what, I'm where I belong. I don't belong in the other one, even if it's for a simple transaction, even if I'm going in for, you know, uh, God forbid, a microwave pizza or something like that,
Hey,
you know. So
yeah, the thing about me, especially in my past, is there were people who loved me. There were people who definitely didn't care for me, but nobody was undecided.
yeah, yes, yeah, yeah.
Uh,
Um, let's go into your past a little bit. You are a veteran.
I am.
Uh, how and you and I did talk about this a little bit when we first met. Can you tell me about some of the difficulties you had when you were in the service?
Well, when I speak publicly, one of the things I say is that, hi, I'm Craig and I'm a recovering social misfit. And part of that is because in many ways, I did life backwards. Most of us run off and get an education and find our way to find our thing. But I actually started with my dream job. And for 26 years, I was a submarine sailor in the United States Navy. And I absolutely positively loved what I did. Even though I wasn't great with people, I was good enough at what I did that I could not be ignored. But at 26 years, the shelf life was up and I was voluntold to go retire. So now, this thing that I've spent my life doing, that I've built my identity around, I'm no longer a part of. the rules of that community were very different than those of society. So I literally felt like a squid out of water. And like many veterans, I struggled when I got out of the service. And, I was in plenty of situations that you could probably identify with PTSD or something like that. But that's really not why a lot of veterans struggle. A lot of veterans struggle when they get out because when you're in the service, not only are the people you work with the people you live with, there's no escaping it, and they are your life. But when you get out of the service, the rest of the world isn't that way. People in the civilian world, they go to work, they do their job, they come home. When you're in the service, you literally live your job. The people that you work with are your family. And when you survive things that are either unfortunate or difficult, you build bonds with those people that sometimes are greater than the bonds you have with your family. So when you get out and you no longer have that, it's easy to feel lost and feel like you don't fit in. For me personally, I think that part of my social growth was perhaps stunted, and I didn't learn these advanced people skills because I spent all my time in a closed environment where other people weren't allowed in. So once you learn to get along with the people you're with, that's really all you need. But that wasn't sufficient for me after I got out. And I didn't understand why. Why am I struggling? What's going on? Why am I putting people off with the things they say that I do? But the alarms really didn't go off until I took that personality assessment or that emotional intelligence survey that it pointed out to me that, hey, there's something going on here that you really need to address and take care of. So you can fit in with these people that you want to spend time with. So that was difficult because I went from job to job to job to job looking for something and looking for someplace I fit in until I finally found it with that company.
How quick
I have a great debt that I owe them.
How quickly did you realize that that was the problem? That you went from a place where you knew everyone, you knew not only you knew everyone, you knew about everyone, you knew their backstory, you know who they were, what they do, what they liked, to, well, I know him in a work situation.
It took me a few years. When I first got out, uh, I went to college for the first 3 years after I retired, and I actually worked for the people that used to work for me. So
Hmm.
that was easy. But then I after I got my degree, I got hired on someplace that was completely different community, and I really had a hard time understanding why I didn't fit in. I had the same education background as them. A lot of them even were veterans, but from a different community. And I just struggled to fit in and play nice with others. So, and I didn't know why, but I knew that I was always that person that was likely to say the right thing at the wrong time or the wrong thing at the perfect time. Just, caution be sure brain is engaged before the mouth goes in gear. And I didn't say things to be mean, just as I guess as my wife still says, just because you think it doesn't mean you have to say it, Craig. I still have a tendency to struggle with that. So
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I understand that. Hey, are are we doing a disservice to kids who are not maybe emotionally and mentally mature brain-wise by putting them into this situation and then releasing them back into society? Are we doing any damage to them, or is it really kind of on a person-to-person basis? Some handle it more than others, or you know, or is there maybe a different way that we could do this?
I think that the military does a lot better job now than they used to about getting people ready to get out. For me, they sent me a week-long class and said, "Here you go." And I literally came back off deployment and I was retired 2 weeks later. So, uh, but I think a lot of people figure it out quickly, but those who don't and are like me, I just want them to know that there is actually training out there to learn to be great with people. Whether you come to me to get it or you find it someplace else, do yourself a favor and just go find it. It changes everything in your world. It changes your relationships. It changes how you see people, how people see you. Um, and I think people that I really would like to spend time with are young people, probably just getting out of college. Because if 90% of promotions go to people who have great people skills, some people call them power skills, some people call it emotional intelligence. All of these things are, if they're not the same thing, they're all related. If 90% of promotions go to those people, why would you not want to put yourself at the front of the line?
Yeah.
I also do very well with people who are neurodivergent, kids on the spectrum, because they
Okay.
don't because they don't naturally learn to read people and social situations well. But they're insanely brilliant. They are other gifted. But if we can set them up to thrive socially, how much less stressful is their life? And how much faster can they learn to thrive in the world with the rest of us? I think it's important and I think it matters. I would like to be that agent of change.
Yeah, and I think that the statement that you just gave us, I think that that is something that is very important because you end your conversation with what you just said. You know, be the agent of change for someone like you were me, is the way that we ended our last conversation. And I appreciated that. I really did. I appreciated that greatly. When, Craig, when was it that it really came to your attention that you were socially awkward? Was it when you were young? Was it when you got into the middle or high school? When did it become very apparent that, I'm different than everybody else? And then after that, when did it start really causing problems in your life? Was it immediate or?
I think I was always a little different.
Mhm.
Uh, I've always done pretty well one-on-one with people. Where I really struggled was in small groups. I was that person who didn't read the room, who would be abrupt, who, I don't know, maybe it was too honest or honest at the wrong time. But I joined the service at 19 years old and I went off and a lot of people around me were like me. You know, they say that submarine sailors tend to be a bunch of misfits that somehow have figured out how to get along and get the best out of each other. for a common good.
Yeah, and that's kind of one of the that's actually one of the things that you said, is that you had mentioned that you were probably put into the best situation for you being with, you know, the fewer amount of people in a submarine, right? I mean,
Well, I knew when I was a very young person that I wanted to be a submarine sailor. Because the first time I went down on a submarine, I was in third grade, and my dad was the senior enlisted guy on board. And of course, everyone was much nicer to me the first time I went than when I went back as a junior crew member.
yeah, funny how that tends to happen, right?
But I was always enthralled with something and understanding how it worked. And like, I was a kid that liked to putter with cars. I liked to putter with mechanical things to see how they worked and what made things tick. And I was always pretty good at it. Uh, I wound up being in military logistics when I entered the service. They did a phalant test on me and discovered that I'm mostly red green colorblind. So that that they were pretty upset that they couldn't turn me into an engineer because I couldn't play with valves and I couldn't play with wires. So for obvious reasons, but
Yeah.
uh, but I knew right away that I had found my home and found something that I was good at with people that I understood. So when I retired in 2011 at, you know, what, 44, 45 years old, is really when I discovered that I did not do well with people. And I didn't really understand why. It's interesting because I'm exceptionally outgoing and I'm completely unafraid to get on a stage and talk to 500, 1,000 people.
Yeah.
But that didn't mean I was a good communicator. And it took me a while to understand the difference and how to learn to become a good communicator and someone who interacted well with people.
There is a huge difference between a good speaker and a good communicator, isn't there?
There is. And I write well. I enjoy the company of people. I love teaching. I love facilitating training. Uh, all things that I did a lot of when I was in the military. But group interactions are just something that I always, always, always struggled with.
Okay, let me ask you this. If somebody comes to you and they say, Craig, I suffer with blank, can you help me? What is blank?
Reading people and reading social situations. Or networking. There's a strategy and a way to be good at a networking meeting, right? Learning to be engaging with people, the signs of eye contact. There are how to use our hands, where to go for a meeting. All of these things matter because there's lots of people out there doing often the same thing we are. What makes us different? But understanding how to have a conversation sets us up for a strategy to have a conversation. And one of the things that I tell people is if I ask you, who is most people's favorite subject?
It's themselves.
Usually. So when you remember that, it makes it easy to go to network meetings because you ask questions that get people to talk to themselves or about themselves. But the people who win in network meetings are actually the people who introduce other people. When you go to a network meeting, you're not really there looking for business. You're just looking to make connections. And one of the best ways to be remembered is to connect other people. I may not be the person that you're looking for, but I would love to help you find the person that is. Because we both win. Because you will remember me and you will find something that you needed. And I was the person that helped you find it. So the next time, you will remember and you will want to be helpful to me. One of the greatest ways to win at networking meetings. The
It's
person
also
who
vital.
connects the most people is the person who wins at a network meeting.
Yeah, it's also vitally important that you listen to everyone because, like you just said, I may not be the person that you're looking for, but you know somebody who is looking for you. And
Absolutely.
and so, it's vitally important that we pay attention in that fact, in that way. Um well, probably about the last one from you or for you, but I gotta know, can you take a really quick second and give us an example of one of the first things that you do when you talk to someone?
Well, there's three things we want to know. I want to know who you are. I want to know what you do so I can make a decision whether or not you're someone I'm interested in. And I want to know how I either contact you or what I need to do to get that thing you want. Right? I'm a trainer. I love public speaking and I love doing like networking and facilitating training for groups. But really, I'm a trainer. I want to help people be good with other people. So when I tell people that, I teach people the science behind emotional intelligence using science-based strategies that are proven to work. Hi, I'm Craig. I teach these skills. I have a 10-week class. Okay. So people know either they're my person or they're not my person. But when they go on and meet someone else, they may keep me in mind. A lot of the time, I tell people I recognize that I may not be the person that you're here for, but I want to know about you because I may need your service, or I may need someone who knows your service, or I might meet someone else here who wants your service. So please tell me about yourself. Sometimes I just build friendships that way. It's you know, li- life is a tapestry of many colors, right?
Yep, that's
So
that's absolutely true. Is there anything that we forgot to mention? Is there anything else that you would truly like to bring up?
no, just if what I have to say resonates with you or someone that you know, please reach out to me. Uh, because when I was in the service, I loved what I did, and it took me 10 years to find this place again. That I love what I do again, and like I said earlier, we all win when we have great interactions. And I would love to help be the agent to change for you or someone that you know, because this matters. And the HR professionals of the world are saying that this is going to be the next social currency, being good with people. And I really want that gift for other people because we all win when we have great conversations.
Yep, absolutely. What is the easiest way, Craig, for people to get a hold of you?
Email me, Craig at Escaping Social Awkwardness.
And you've got a phone number?
760-443-8126.
So,
The odds are that you will get my voicemail because I I actually check my voicemail a lot of the time here from my computer. Nice thing about having a Mac and having an iPhone. But yeah, I don't. A lot of the time, I'm someplace where it would be inconvenient or awkward for me to be on the phone. But I do return calls, and I'd love to have a chat with you.
I greatly appreciate appreciate it. One of the greatest things about Craig, he is now part of the Community Pay It Forward family. So anytime that you hire Craig, he is going to give a portion back to the cause that you love. So if you are looking to make improvements on yourself, better yourself, and get yourself in line for that promotion, get yourself in line for feeling better and stronger about you and yourself, you call Craig, hire Craig, and then you also get to help somebody else stand up on their own 2 feet. Craig, I want to say, first off, welcome to the family. We love having you here. I am so excited to hear about this journey. You are on you're just now getting started, so this is something that you're really hoping to make a huge difference for. And we're here to support you any way that we can. I greatly encourage everybody to go to escapingsocialawkwardness.com. Once again, that's escapingsocialawkwardness.com. Go and check it out. The stories, everything on there is just wonderful. Gives the example of the book. Why don't you go ahead and give credit to the book that you read that changed your life?
It was Emotional Intelligence 2.0 is one of them. And the fact that I decided to try and make a business out of this was actually from Richie Norton. He has a book called The Power of Starting Something Stupid. Well, because a lot of people, when they come up with an idea, like Jeff Bezos, people told him it was stupid to start Amazon because he already had a good job. People thought Henry Ford was stupid because people didn't want a car or didn't know they wanted a car. What they really wanted was a faster horse. But people that do unusual things that wind up being agents of change, in the beginning, many of them are thought of as stupid or crazy. So The Power of Starting Something Stupid by Richie Norton. I thought it was a fabulous read.
I think I'm going to have to look that up, because I'll tell you this: if I would have, back when I was in my 20s, if you told me that I was going to be carrying around a cell phone to where people could get a hold of me at any point and any time, I would have thought, man, you're out of your damn mind. There's no way that's going to happen. And now, as I aforementioned, 2 cell phones, a tablet, all these other things, any way to get a hold of me. So yeah, I guess you grow up and things change. But Craig, again, thank you for joining us on Footprints Forward. Thank you for living through your struggle and bringing attention to the cure. And I really think that is so. I'm really excited about what we're going to be able to do together and helping to change this for other people, because that there's people out there who don't even maybe know what they're dealing with or what their solution looks like, and hopefully your story will bring that solution to their lives.
Well, thanks for being an agent to change yourself.
Thank you very much.
The world needs more people who just want to help other people.
It's really kind of funny. I think that most people actually want to help somebody. There's just not. Everybody gets so caught up in the money aspect of it that they kind of forget that there's other things that we can do to really make a change. So, and that's why bringing in people like yourself is so important for what we're doing. Again, you can get a hold of Craig by email at Craig at escapingsocialawkwardness.com. Once again, that's Craig at escapingsocialawkwardness.com. Or you can send him a call at 760-443-8126, 760-443-8126. And there's always the website. As I showed you, there's a contact form on the last page. Just go to escapingsocialawkwardness.com. Thank you, sir. I look forward to it. And of course, you can also find him on communitypayitforward.us.
Thanks, and have a great day. I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thank you, sir. Introducing Shop, Click, and Pick, the simplest way to support those doing good. We understand that shopping is a necessity. And with a slight adjustment, you can make a huge difference for those in need. Here's how it works. Visit communitypayitforward.us and navigate to the Find Your Partners tab. Discover our verified giving partners, trusted allies ready to meet your needs. Shop with any partner that resonates with you. Click a picture of your receipt or invoice. Pick a mission partner you wish to support and use their QR code to send a receipt to us. Then all you have to do is sit back and enjoy your purchase, knowing you've made a meaningful change for someone in need. Community Pay It Forward amplifies your business's impact by sharing your story with those who require your services, rallying support for those who need us all. Because no one needs to go it alone when we all come together. It's amazing some of the things that, as a person who I feel very, very comfortable in certain situations and very uncomfortable in other situations. When I was in that room a couple weeks ago with all those people, as I mentioned, hearing every other conversation as it happened while I was trying to have conversations with great people like Harold and Debbie and just everyone I met. It was a hard time, and it really wore me out at the end of the day. And it's nice to know that there's something out there, that there's science out there who can really help make a difference. And it makes me very happy to hear that. So, Craig Gustafson, once again, now a member of Community Pay It Forward family. We are thrilled to have him and his healing program joining us. QR code up in the corner. If you have a story to tell, we want to hear it. We want people to understand what you do, how you do it, and why you do it. It's very, very simple. Scan the QR code, ask a question, or tell us a little bit about you. I'll contact you. We'll talk. We'll get you on. You can be part of this program, which goes to try to help others. So if you've got a story that you would like to tell around mental health or mental difficulties, or even you want to talk about your past knowledge of suicide or history with suicide or whatever, we want to talk about it. Okay. We're not going to focus on the bad as we did with Craig. Our main focus is figuring out what we can do, because you know what? No one needs to go it alone when we all come together. And if we're all telling wonderful stories, these stories will get out to other people. Hey, everybody, that's it for me. I want to thank you very much for joining us again on this wonderful Monday. Please remember to love somebody out there, because somebody out here loves you. Take care of each other. We are all we've got, but, that's enough. And just to let everyone know, we are going through a very, very difficult time in this country. Just remember that if we work together, it's still going to be a difficult time, but it won't be as crappy. Being able to talk to each other is going to make it a little bit better. So let's make sure that we, talk to somebody we haven't talked to in a while. Reach out to them and say, hey, you know what? Things have gone a little haywire, but I'm here if you need me. Let's do this, and let's make a huge difference for someone in our life. So, but you can always get a hold of me at communitypayitforward.us. That is communitypayitforward.us. or you can send me a text message at 970-909-0751, 970-909-0751. A text message is the best way to get a hold of me. I can respond a little bit easier that way. But if you want to call, that's fine. Just make sure you leave a message so I can call you back. Hey, everybody, that is it for today. I want to thank you all so very much. Have a wonderful rest of your week. And remember, if we all continue to walk the same way, nothing can stop us. So let's get walking together. Let's get walking forward in a forward direction, and let's make sure we help others along the way.